Hey guys, Chris Fayte with Cheat the Game coming back at you. Today we're just going to be taking a look at miscellaneous codes, being right at the beginning of the game. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get our gold value, and we'll find out that gold, other other addresses are going through that opcode as well. So it is a shared opcode. So we got to compare those out with other things, and in this case it'll be our stats. Also, we're going to do an instant choke out where we don't have to wait on the time limit for us to choke a person out. All we got to do is just go up there, mash the button, boom, they're instantly knocked out instead of having to wait the time limit. So we're going to do those two things today, and then next week we're going to do infinite runes, and we're going to do our blink. That is a spell that you get where you got just a limited circumference that you can teleport to. That's what blink is, a teleport type spell that you get in the game, and you can also upgrade it later to be able to go a further distance. However, we're going to find that value next week, and we're going to learn how we can go clear across the map if we want to. We dictate how far we want to go, so that'll be next week. So let me go ahead and get started. I'll bring everything up and I'll be right back with you. Okay, now your coins and everything you're going to be able to keep up with in your stats. So you have mash the escape, go to your pause menu, and you'll be going to status, and this is where we keep up with how many coins we collected right here. Okay, and also you got to know that most of every one of these are going through the same opcode. So things that you don't want to be whatever we set the coins to, we're going to have to compare out, like being spotted by enemies. We don't want that to be a high number. So we might have to compare these out and see what's affecting these two addresses, and basically we do that the same way as we do a help script. So let's go ahead and get to it. I'm just going to do a little bit of the searching, then I'm going to cut it, because you really don't need to see me do searches, because y'all should know this stuff by now. Let's go ahead and pick up one. We picked up 10, so we're just going to start with 10. We know we were at 0. And what we do is we go around picking up more coins. I got my stealth mode on. This is where we can use our codes to help us find other codes without having to get into fights and things like that. So I got my stealth on, and all I'm going to do is just walk around picking up more coins until I weed them down to a few addresses I can try. I'm not going to show that process. I'll be right back. Okay, just picked up one more money pouch, and it turned out to be another 10, so I searched for 20 and was left with 3 results. So I went and changed each one of them to a different number. Go back out to the game, go back into this main screen here, and it tells us which opcode it is. And you can see here that this is 25. This is the opcode we're needing. Let me get rid of these so I ain't confusing anybody. Right off the bat, we want to go ahead and find out what's writing to this address. So that means we need to go pick up another coin somewhere. Unless it's constantly writing, which it ain't. Let me see if I can find a coin. There's one. So pick that up, and we got our opcode right here. And you see we're using a complex address right here. And usually, whatever this middle one is, it's actually a value for several different things, in this case being the stats right here. RCX is representing what money is in this particular opcode. Also, you have RCX representing what spotted enemies would be, and assassinations would be, and whatnot. Also, when you see these complex addresses, and I want to thank my good friend Benjamin Clements for pointing this out to me in the past, is that, you know, a lot of times these are used for your FPS games. You know, like when you got tons of different types of weapons or guns that you can use. Well, RCX or whatever the middle registry is holding the value, because each one of these guns has an ID basically, and usually it's holding the ID to tell the game which particular gun it's writing to. So basically that's what that means. So we can actually, in these complex addresses, we can actually use that RCX as a compare. Okay, so we see that our money is being stored in 30. That's hex value. Okay, 30 hex. So if we need to, we can actually use that for a compare, and we do need to. okay, because we need spotted by enemies to keep being at 0, so we need to separate them out. So we would just want to make a little mental note, or we can put it down in Notepad, that gold RCX, the item ID for that is 30 hex. And this will make sense in a minute. Let's go ahead and go to the disassembler. Now if we go be spotted by enemies, it will also register through this opcode. So that's what we want to do. We want to have any other addresses appear in here that we need to weed out. So let's do that first before we actually start writing the script. And it'll still spot you, and they just won't react to it.
These bastards are working with Ramsey and the
But they'll still spot you. And as you can see here, spotted by enemies 61, and you got several others going through here as well. It's not really showing up here. It could be time, or and a flag or whatever, but we need to separate these on out. So we do want to go pick up another coin as well, and that's why it's good to use your cheats to help you find other cheats, because now I can go, if I need another coin, I can go get it without having to get into a fight, because I got my stealth on. So let's go ahead and grab another coin, and it pops our gold value up here as well. So now we can go compare these out if we want to, or since we know that the item ID is being held in RCX, and each one of these is holding a different ID, and I'll show you. Let me, what was spotted by enemies again? 61. Okay, let's go back to the, don't need this anymore, we can get rid of that. 61 right here. This is spotted by enemies, because we know that's 61 because the stat screen told us that. Let's see what it writes to that address, just to bring up our registry information. And like I say, he won't react to us because we got our stealth on, but it will show in the stats, spotted by enemies. See, it's up to 128 now. And here's the thing that it wrote to. Now, spotted by enemies has its own ID number, and it'll be something totally different. Take a look at that, 3E. You see that? So we just make a mental note of that. RCX3E, and that's its own unique number. It will be that number every single time. So we can go ahead and start writing our script, and we can just use that as a compare without having to go into dissect data. So let's do that. Let's go on up here, auto assemble, AOB injection. We want to call that gold 1, or we can, let's do this, gold slash stats, because we're working with more than one stat here. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. So let's go ahead and compare out. Now we know that gold was a hex value of 30. So right off the bat, we want to go ahead and put in there, compare out the RCX registry with the hex value of 30. And if you put it in there like that, that's hex. What would hex 30 be anyway? Let's just find out. And no, I don't have these memorized. So we'll just bring out our hex calculator and put in a 30 and go to decimal, and it's 48 decimal. So you can either do it like this, which is hex, or you can do it like an integer, 48. I'm just going to use the hex so we don't confuse anybody. So we know if that is equal to 30, we want it to do one specific thing. We want a huge number of gold. So what I want to do is I want to create a label it can jump to that will have putting like 99999 in gold or whatever. Okay, so we're just going to put gold 1, and that'll be our new label. We're going to create it right now. We want to copy the code, the original type code, and put that in there because that's what's going to be modifying our gold. And right here, we know it's adding, so whatever they picked up already, we'll just have it add a float 9999 to it. But we don't want it to keep doing that, because it'll just get to outrageous numbers. So what we want to also do is compare out this address, and the only one that's coming to gold 1 will be gold. All the others will be bypassing it. So only gold is going to be coming here. So we want it to compare this gold value to when it reaches this number. We want you to jump to code right there. So jump if greater than or equal to code. If it's greater than or equal to this number, which it will be greater than actually, because we picked up 20, we're moving 999 in there, so it's going to go beyond that. So the next time we pick up a gold piece, it's going to read this compare, say, okay, well, it's already above, the gold value is already above this. What does he want me to do? He wants me to jump. If it's greater than or equal to, he wants me to jump to code. So since it is, I'm going to bypass this. I'm going to jump down here to code and just add like normal. So from there on out, everything we pick up is what's just going to be added to it. Okay? But we also got to remember, we got our spotted by enemies. We want that to be 0. And I know we got assassinations, non-lethal takedowns. We can deal with those later. I'm not going to do that in this lesson. It's just going to be too long as it is. So what we want to do, I'm just going to go ahead and put jump if not equal to code to compare out gold. Gold won't. Gold will just keep going straight down. Okay? And when spotted by enemies jumps down here, we want it to jump to its own location. So we're going to make a new label, and we're just going to put spotted. That way we know what it is. Now I'm just going to put it on down here out of the way. You can put it anywhere. And we copy the same thing. Alright. And right here, we don't really want anything to be done. We just want it to move a float 0 into it. Just like that. Now let's go test her out. Let's label it so we know what it is. Lots of gold /0 spotted by enemies. Okay, so that should go to 0. That should go up to beyond 999 next time we pick up a coin. So let's test out being spotted by enemies first. Oh, I guess I need to turn it on first. Let's turn it on. Alright, now we got it turned on. We didn't crash. Alright, let's go back to the stats. And spotted by enemies is 399, so we need to go check and see where our mistake is. Because it's just jumping to... Oh, we didn't tell it to jump to spotted, so that's why we need to troubleshoot these things. These things are going to happen to you too. So we need to compare this RCX registry. That's why we wrote it down, and it's 3E. Compare RCX to 3E. Jump if equal to spotted. Simple fix. So now spotted by enemies is going to bypass this and jump over here and write 0. Alright, now that we fixed it, let's turn it off, back on, and let's see if that works. Now let's go back to stats, and we went back down to 0. Now let's go pick up a coin. We got one to go. And that should have took care of our gold. Boom, take a look at that. Ooh, man, that really shot up, didn't it? We might need to change that add to something else. We might want to put move instead. That way it'll just be 9999 when they do that. That way you just won't get up to this astronomical amount right there. That was ridiculous. So the first time we pick up a gold coin, now it's just going to move this number in there. Then when it comes back down to see it next time we pick up a gold piece, it's going to see that it's 9999, and then it's just going to jump down here and just add whatever value the coin is. So that's good. And we troubleshooted it. Now we got a working cheat of lots of gold and never being spotted by enemies. And any of these other things pop up here, all we have to do is look in their RCX registry for their ID and go separate them out in the same script, and we're good to go. So let's move on to something else. Okay, now that we got that done, now we got our gold with 0 spotted by enemies, and we can also adjust it as we progress, you know, with assassinations, and that's going to go back down. Yeah, we can bring that back down to whatever we want later. What we want to do now is the choke. There's a choke. You can go choke them, and there's a time limit that starts up a timer, and basically that's how that timer has to count up or down on how long you choke somebody. So we want to see if we can find that timer and see if we can have an instant choke without having to wait through all that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to one of our enemies, and we're going to begin to choke him. So we want to go ahead and start just like that. That way we know an address is set. So what I want to do, I always say that any timer value, most of the time you're going to find on a float value. It could be a double, but you always want to start with float. We always want to try to prevent ourselves from having to use all as much as possible, especially in a 64-bit game. So we're going to start at an unknown value, even though I believe it may be 0 counting up, because it looks like a bar is filling up. Doesn't necessarily mean that's what's happening, but that's what we're going to start with. So as that bar progresses, we're going to go increase value, and so forth. Go ahead and clean out the RAM a little bit. Now that's going to really lag because we're just keeping up with 2.2 billion addresses right now. So what I want to do, hopefully this will, there we go, is enable speed hack, and I want to slow that bar down a little bit so it'll give us a little more time to find it. I'm going to slow it down to like a 0.2. Same thing we did for finding stealth. Alright, so let's make sure we hold down our key before we hit resume. So he's still choking. Let that bar fill up a little bit, just like that. Now we're going to go increase value. And you see what I'm doing here. It's nothing different than what we've done in the past. We're just finding our value based on the bar. If it goes up or down, if it goes down a little bit, we're going to go decrease value. If it goes back up, we're going to go increase value. So decrease and increase. So I'm going to stop it there while I do that, just till we get down to some addresses we can try. Well, I accidentally put him out while I was looking, but what I want to do is I wanted to see if I could maybe catch some of these right here. I noticed that was fluctuating between 0 and like 2 or 3. So I believe it's one of these that went all the way back down to 0. So that's what we kind of want to be on the lookout for when we check this other guy. Okay, good. He didn't go down. So now we can check it. So what I want to do is I want to freeze that like at a 1, maybe. I don't know if the address will change or not. Alright, take a look. It's just holding there. See that? Good, so that means we found it. So it's that top one right there. So we can delete this one. And what we want to do is go ahead and turn it back off, and let's find out what's writing to it. Alright, we got 2 locations. One when we let go that puts it back down to 0, which that one popped up when I did that, and that one was what was adding to it automatically. So let's do this. Let's go show in the disassembler this opcode here. And what I want to do, since it's counting from 0 up to a number, we want to go ahead and put it to a higher number just so it automatically goes to an instant chokeout. So let's go ahead and create an AOB injection. We're going to put choke 1. We know it's a float value, so we can just get rid of that, make sure we take off the SS, and we can just put it as a float, I don't know, 5. We'll try 5. Okay, we're going to call this instant choke test. Okay, let's go back to the game. I'm going to let go of the button. I'm going to let him go. Oh, let me put it back up to speed. Sorry, I forgot about that. There. Now we're back at normal speed. This stealth code is great. Now, we should instantly choke him now. Take a look at that. No timer at all. Did you see that? Where's that other one? Instant choke.
Disloyal dogs.
All of them just going down without having to wait. And here's what it would be with the code off. So let's turn it off. This is what you normally have to wait. You see that? So now we got an instant choke. So lots of goals, zero spotted by enemies, and now we have instant choke. Okay guys, I believe I'm going to call it on this one. The reason being the runes and the blink spell. That's going to have to be a lesson all in itself, because that's going to take a little bit longer because it's a lot harder value to find. So I just want to put that in one particular lesson, and we'll just do that in part 6. And then I believe in part 7 we'll go ahead and close her on out and make our trainer that we can share with the public. So that's what you can be expecting in the next 2 weeks. So I'm going to go ahead and close this on out. And also come join us over at the CTG Facebook page. We have a lot of great game hackers there that can answer your questions. Other than that, we mostly just talk about game hacking in general. Assembly code, Lua, C++, C#, things of that nature. And we teach you how to do these things yourself. Feel free to come over there, ask your questions. And if somebody's there to help you, they will help you. And it's a great place to come hang out. We talk everything game. Alright guys, I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here. I'm going to go ahead and start filming next week's lessons now. So I'm going to use my fly hack just so I can fly out to the ship and bypass all this mess. So I'll see you next week. You guys take care. Keep on hacking. Most importantly, please enjoy yourself. That's really what it's all about. You cheat the game, fellas, because believe me, it doesn't mind cheating you. Take care now. Go ahead and turn my fly hack on. As we're rising, we'll just pop on over to the ship and bypass everybody.